There are two pillars of Western philosophy, Plato and Aristotle. This is Plato pointing his finger up to the sky, and the other is Aristotle facing his palm to the ground. Plato is pointing up to the sky to say that the real world is up there in the world of ideas, while Aristotle is saying that the important thing is the reality here. However, Plato and Aristotle's philosophy are not completely different. Aristotle presented his philosophy within the big framework made by Plato. So Aristotle's philosophy is the same as, and yet different from Plato's. Today, let's talk about Aristotle's metaphysics. Let's start with Plato. Plato divided the world into two, the world of ideas and the world of reality. The world of ideas is an intelligible world that can only be seen through the eyes of reason. And the world of reality is a visible world that can be seen through the eyes of the senses. The world of ideas is the real world, and the world of reality is fake. Let's take an example. This is a chair, and this is a chair. They look different, but they're both called chairs because we can sit on them. The function of a chair is to allow people to sit down. So whatever has that function is called a chair. But it'll be comfortable to sit on the chair on the left. And it'll be a little uncomfortable to sit on the chair on the right. So you could say that the chair on the left is a good chair, and the chair on the right is a bad chair. In other words, a chair which serves the function of a chair well is a good chair. And a chair which doesn't do a good job serving the function of a chair is a bad chair. Then, is there a chair which serves its function perfectly? Of course there is. Think about it. There needs to be a perfect chair in order to have standards for a good or bad chair. So where is that perfect chair? It's not in the world of reality. It's in the world of ideas. That's why the idea of a chair is real, and the chair in the world of reality is fake. This is what Plato argued. However, Plato's metaphysics creates two problems. First, accepting Plato's theory means that there is no way to explain why the world of reality exists. Plato says the real world imitates the world of ideas, but there is no way to explain why a world of imitation exists. Second, there's no way to explain the movement and change in the reality, according to Plato's theory of ideas. Because the world of ideas is complete, there's no change in motion. So it's unclear why the world of reality, which imitates the world of ideas, has change in motion. Now Aristotle was left with two tasks. One is to collapse the world of ideas that Plato created, and the other is to explain the change in motion of the world of reality. So let's talk about this now. Let's look at what Aristotle thought. This is a chair, and this is a chair. They look different, but they're both called chairs because people can sit on them. The function of a chair is to allow people to sit. So whatever has that function is called a chair. If people can't sit on it, it's not a chair. So you can say that the function of something is its substance. This function, the substance, is called the form. But you can't have these chairs just from the form. You need matter. This is not a perfect explanation, but matter is usually the same as material. The matter of this is leather, and the matter of this is wood. When this leather or wood has the function of letting a person sit, it becomes a chair. In other words, a chair is when matter takes form. So Aristotle says that all individuals that exist in this world are a combination of matter and form. Plato put the idea up there and labeled this world as fake to build a dualistic worldview. But Aristotle named what Plato called idea form and dragged it back into the real world. By doing so, the world was unified into one real world. That is why Plato points his finger to the sky, while Aristotle faces his palm to the ground. The second task of Aristotle is to explain the change in motion that are taking place in this world. This is a very old problem. The ancient philosophers' interest in this problem was, does everything change? To this question, Heraclitus answered, everything changes, while Parmenides answered, change is impossible. Parmenides thinks this: the world seems to be changing, but if you see through the eyes of reason, it actually isn't. It seems to be changing, but that's just an illusion. Plato seems to have generally accepted the idea of Parmenides. Plato said that the real world, the world of ideas, which is seen through the eyes of reason, does not change, but the world of reality, which seems to change, is fake. Plato basically told the same story of Parmenides. However, Aristotle unified Plato's two worlds into one real world. Therefore, of course, he accepted the position that this world is real and that everything changes. That's why Aristotle needed to answer how change is possible. Let's look at Aristotle's answer. Here is an acorn. When an acorn falls to the ground, it will sprout a bud. In other words, the acorn already had the potential to become a bud, and the possibility became a reality by the acorn falling to the ground. That's why the acorn is in a state of potentiality, and the potential of becoming a bud is said to have become actual. But the acorn bud grows and becomes an acorn seedling. In other words, the acorn bud had already had the potential to become a seedling, and as it grows, the potentiality became an actuality. That's why the bud is called a potentiality, and the seedling is called an actuality. Now the acorn seedling grows and grows and becomes an oak tree. Then the acorn seedling is in a state of potentiality, and the oak tree is an actuality. So you can say that the acorn, the bud, the seedling, and the oak tree are both the potentiality and the actuality. In other words, every individual can be said to be the potentiality of becoming something else, and also an actuality that has already become something. Aristotle said that all individuals are made of matter and form. An acorn, bud, seedling, and oak tree are all a combination of matter and form. Inside the acorn is the form of an acorn. Inside the bud is the form of a bud. Inside the seedling is the form of a seedling. And inside the oak tree is the form of an oak tree. Like this, all individuals are potentialities made of matter and form. And the potentiality actualizes into a new individual. This is the reason individuals change and are in motion. Aristotle instilled teleology in all these individuals. The purpose of the acorn is the bud. The purpose of the bud is the seedling. And the purpose of the seedling is the oak tree. In this way, all individuals have a certain purpose for its existence. Like this, Aristotle created a hierarchy of all individuals that exist in the world. The things below exist for the things above. Then what is at the bottom of the hierarchy? There is matter without form. This is called pure matter. And at the top of the hierarchy, there is an abstract pure form with no material. This pure form is like Plato's idea. In the end, Aristotle chose a different path from Plato, but he ended up in the same place. The difference between the two is that Plato insisted on a straight path to the world of ideas, and Aristotle compromised with the world of reality and chose a winding path through which various matter and form change and are in motion. So, Russell used the expression, Plato diluted by common sense, to describe Aristotle's philosophy. It seems to be a correct evaluation in general. Therefore, the change in motion in the world takes place in the process of individuals becoming pure form. And because pure form is itself the end purpose, it will no longer move and change. Like this, pure form is the cause of all the other change and motion, but it itself does not move or change. In other words, pure form changes everything else without changing itself. In that sense, it is called the unmoved mover. Here's Michelangelo's sculpture of David. This sculpture is also a combination of matter and form. Michelangelo created the sculpture by combining the matter of marble with a human form. So how can we look at this? Aristotle suggests the following four causes. First is the material cause. It is the material making up the object. The material cause of the statue of David is marble. Second, the formal cause. It is the principle which makes up the object. The formal cause of the statue is the human form that Michelangelo had in his head. Third, the efficient cause. It is the moving cause of the object. In this case, it is Michelangelo sculpting the marble. Fourth, the final cause. That is the purpose of the object. This sculpture was made to symbolize King David. There may be a critical view on Aristotle's four causes. Typically, philosophies with strong materialistic views, such as the Stoics and the Epicurean school, had difficulty accepting the formal cause or the final cause. This tendency to reject form and purpose and emphasize matter and agent led to modern science. This tradition in particular has given modern scientists like Newton the idea that the world is just full of motion and matter. And it seems that this tendency has continued to this day. Let's wrap up. First, Aristotle thought that individuals are made of form and matter. Form corresponds to Plato's idea, and matter is like material. Second, Aristotle explained change through the concepts of potentiality and actuality. An individual is a potentiality made from form and matter, and the potentiality actualizes into a new individual. Third, in conclusion, Aristotle followed Plato's theory of ideas and diluted it with common sense. So we can say Plato's idea is the original flavor, while Aristotle is mild flavor Plato.